My first question is therefore to you, Smruthi, as a client. What is the challenge in orchestrating between so many different creators for your brands?
Hi, thanks for having me here. Honestly, in the last few years, like you said, everything has changed so drastically. It's now a new world of opportunity to speak to your consumer. There are so many different mediums versus the very many years back where you had a 30-second and a 20-second, or you made a TV media plan, and then slowly the TV started becoming slightly smaller, then digital started creeping in. Today, it's multiple forums all going live at the same time, and it's truly a multimedia campaign. And we have multiple agencies to deal with. So there's a mainline agency, like you said, who we still believe is the custodian of a brand. There's a digital agency because you want freshness, you want someone who understands the newer platforms. There's an influencer agency because that's a whole new animal today, and we deal with hundreds of influencers and thousands of influencers in the year, and we need someone who understands that craft as well. So it's a huge opportunity to be able to tailor your message to the consumer in every possible way that you want to. But it's a huge challenge at the same time to maintain that brand DNA and consistency across all of these. Because for us, like you said, we are consumer first and brand first. We want our message to reach the consumer, and we want our brand to be intact. So at the risk of, I'm sure many creators here, sitting here, we are that person who is saying, logo thoda aur bada kar do, please. So it's always down to that. Logo dikh raha hai ki nahi? Brand colors hai ki nahi? So we are brand first. And today, while our mainline agency is still with us on that journey, the others aren't. We don't really, like you said, we have some shared goal, but it's not really the same. And that's a huge challenge for us to meet.
Imagine.
And as it comes from, and we're a global brand, so you can imagine we are already kind of liaising with our global team to say, no, but global brand, yes, but India relatability chahiye. And then from there, we are trickling down to different formats and people where we really need to make sure it doesn't dilute at the end of it. And that's the struggle, honestly.
So Rajdeepak, this question immediately comes from what she said. You don't get any freedom when you work on a global brand. You have 10 different mandates. They have all the freedom. They do what they want.
I think, Subhash, first, I think the person who owns brand is PowerPoint. Okay? Before the presentation happens, I don't know who make those brand golas and triangles.
Planners.
Yeah. And now this new thing is brand onions. Brand onions. If anyone else sees brand onions, raise your hand, please. Yeah, brand onions. A lot of people say brand onions. Right now, cabbages and new things are coming based on how evolved it get into. So, right, I think what happened is, I think you have to create things with what you have. The best thing about creativity is that you don't have an option, and that's the best creativity happens. If you have all the options, then the worst creativity happens. When you have options, you have only one single line, one brief. Maybe the brief have said, we can't do this. The magic happens. Then the new tools comes out. It's amazing tools. Before that, I was listening to the data story. I think data is one of the biggest tools that we have. Right? I think 10 years back it was insight, now it's data. I think 2 years after something new will come out. But I think we find a new tools and we play with those things.
Good. So I had a question for these two actually. When you all look at brand stories, yeah? Because I've seen brands behave in a particular way on television and completely different avatars in social media. Cannot believe they're the same brand. Right? And you also spoke about the challenges of consistent.
I hope you're not talking about our brand.
No. Brand shall not be
X.
named.
Brand X.
Brand shall not be named, right?
Purple color brand.
But they are very different. Brand voice, brand consistency, tone of voice, very, very different, right? You are an influencer, you're a brand onto yourself. So there's a particular presentation or expression of your brand to your followers. That's why they are with you. Now along comes another brand saying, "Mera talk about my brand," right? Do you choose, therefore, brands only that fit into your personality and expression? What if it is something that is not really a part, like a car brand? Suppose you don't want to talk about a car, but suppose a car brand approaches you. How would you do that?
And there's good money, huh?
That's good
That's
money.
good money
That's
with
good
that.
money. But I do feel that, as you said, our followers are what that's what drives us. That we need that kind of validation. We need that kind of love, and that's why we do it. The reason why I even started it was because I wanted to help them. I wanted to motivate them. So that was my drive. Brands came in very late for me, but when it did, I understood the kind of money it comes with. So I was like, oh my God, this is a lot, because it was all new. And I do believe that you need to have certain, I won't say rules, but you need to have a few specifications of what you stand for. Personally, so if I am not standing for brands that blur out, pictures, and they don't, use all those, filters and photoshops and the post-production that happens after the content is given to them. If I don't stand for that, it was my responsibility to stay away from those brands.
Absolutely.
So, because I saw the shift. When I started off, there were brands that asked me to do it, and I stood against it, and I said that this is not what I stand for. That's when I even started my no-filter journey, and I said that I want to change this. This is not happening in this industry. And I saw that after 3 to 4 years, where brands today, the same brands are coming back to me saying that we want you in the same picture with a no-filter campaign. So I saw that shift. So I feel that you need to really stand true to what you believe, and the brands will come back to you. You don't need to completely just give everything for every other brand that you don't even believe in.
You want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to add to that, because honestly, I think that's, when you say they have the freedom and they are follower first, that is their strength. And we appreciate that, because there are influencers who have come back to us and who work with our brand Maybelline very often on some categories, but for example, on a new launch, have come back to us to say that this product is not working for me. I don't want to be a part of this campaign. And that's perfectly fine, because we respect the fact that you have your expertise and you are following that.
You don't very authentic.
Yeah, it's authentic. You don't have to be a sellout even in that space. And as a brand, we appreciate that, and we still work with that influencer or those influencers who come back to us. So it's great to have that kind of authenticity which comes from that particular field.
Because I also feel that when it comes to creators and influencers, if you just keep on promoting every other brand that comes your way, then you become a sellout. So it's not that every other brand wants to be associated with you if that's the way you're going about in your career. So there needs to be authenticity. There needs to be why, followers even trust you.
I wish some of the Bollywood stars took that lesson from you.
So to answer your previous question, seldom would you say that the communication is very different on different platforms, because the entire ecosystem is actually coming together and making sure there's some consistency. So maybe the formats are different. Maybe the way he's communicating the same brand messaging is different. The way she's creating some content is different. The way we are developing an idea from that insight is different. But somewhere the communication you'll see somewhere does meet and come together for any brand that we work together. And I think ultimately customers are people too, and the way we are all coming together creating content for the different formats they're consuming is what all of our strengths lie in. So I think in the previous session we were discussing how audiences are still split into gender, age, geographic locations. What we've actually, as creators and influencers, been doing are building communities, because we are saying that 16-year-olds from Kanpur, males are not all going to be acting the same way. Some can actually be gamers, some can be working in the family business, so the way they'll be interacting with the brands or content in general is going to be different. So that's where her expertise, my expertise, and somewhere all of our expertise come together and create that content as well.
So do you think that this is something that only the client needs to orchestrate? Or do you think there is potential for collaboration between an advertising agency, the content creator, and the influencer, all working together on the same brand?
We've actually seen... Sorry.
Does it happen?
It does happen. We have a lot of successful campaigns that have come out of collaborations where the agency partner themselves have recognized that, okay, this platform is going to be a great platform to communicate this messaging to the audience segment that we're trying to reach out to. And some of our biggest campaigns with brands like Cadbury, Pepsi have come out of those collaborations as well.
Thank you for Pepsi.
And a lot of, actually we deal with brands a lot directly as well. In the beginning, we did prefer working with brands directly because it would eliminate one feedback loop in the middle. But we've realized if the agencies also understand what you're going with, and you get them on your team, they'll push for you even harder.
Do you think the advertising industry, Rajdeepak, needs to feel threatened by all these influencers and content creators?
Are you scared?
Because a client has X amount of budgets. Yeah. Well, that budget used to come to you before. Yeah. Now it's being divided between influencer, content creator, maybe some other digital marketer.
So I think as an agency or as any of us, we are looking at the bigger bang. What do we get from that buck? And whoever help us to do that, why not? Because understand, it's a.
You're just saying that because you're on the stage right now.
No, I'm telling you, it's what is the new thing? Tinder, Bumble, abhi naya kya hai? Hinge. Okay. Right, now the relationship is a Hinge relationship, right? But if you see the biggest brands have been built from little, it takes 5 to 10 years. We talk about the relationship, agency and brand relationship. I think things are changing very fast. So you can't hold it too strong, but at the same time share it with it and make it bigger. And we have seen that many places. Sometimes celebrities come and do things like, okay, I will just tell you a small example by recently I've seen. It's called The Lost Class. It's an US commercial. It's one of our friends has done it. The commercial that actually is done by the lawyers. The law firm that represent the agency, they came and helped it. And if someone has a better idea, you just work on it and you know how to make it better. And that's why we are trained to do that, with how to look better, how to make it feel better, how to make it hits here and it hits here. We know how that gut is that we have. So work with that. Doesn't matter where it comes from. Money will come. It's always glory will come if the growth happens. Right? Both are connected. Yeah. Glory and growth are connected.
Yeah.
I just want to add that while I agree that there are so many different platforms and we've been discussing that of course the money today is being split, but I'm just using the word traditional advertising for the understanding of it, is here to stay. I don't think we're moving away from it. As a country today, I feel, are in very many different stages of how the consumer is. Because Shreya and I were just discussing to say, we don't use Facebook anymore. We use only Instagram. Facebook I barely open the app. But there is a very large base of audience, she was telling us, for FilterCopy, which is really based out of Facebook even today.
Right.
And people are at different stages of adoption. So today, I don't watch TV. But I can't make a decision to say no more TV advertising basis my habits. The country is at various stages today. And we need to cater to all of them. So it will be a very gradual shift. It is a shift, but it will be a gradual shift that happens. And I think everybody is here to.
And I think the awareness has also, self-awareness has grown so much that sometimes we get a brief and we are very honest about it that we don't think we are the best platform to take on this brief, and we get back to the agency saying maybe you guys should execute this, and we've had agencies come to us that, listen, I don't think we'll be able to execute this, why don't you guys brainstorm on something and get back to us.
That's good. So one was this collaboration, right? And you're saying it's immensely possible, consistency can also be achieved. So each of you, what is your take on, very quickly, what is your take on responsibility towards brands and consumers, and how do you go about it?
I feel the terms of, sponsorship and partnership and ad, it does kind of make every creator, also I'm talking from the creator community, I think it makes us more responsible, and of course, when all of these rules and things just came into picture, I feel it just gave more kind of, that a kind of validation that what we're doing is legit. Because for the longest time, it wasn't taken into consideration even from, our parents, per se. it was just like, oh, you're doing something, you're getting products, you're creating content. When all of these things come into picture, I feel we are more responsible. And I think it just makes us more aware of what kind of claims we are making, because that's the kind of information the audience is taking from us. So every different, like every...
So you have to do your own due diligence.
Exactly. So I need to make my content in a way that I am making sure that I'm taking the brand pointers as well, but I'm making it in a way that the audience is taking it in the right manner, so that they are not using this cream for like 10 days straight and then getting a rash on their face, because that's not the kind of brand claim that they're making.
Correct.
So I feel it's the creator.
It is making more.
Yeah.
Rajdeepak, what about you?
Subhash, you really guess what is the amount of money this industry spends? $4 trillion. Not India, the entire advertising industry goes through us. Yeah, it's a lot of money, right? $4 trillion, right? So it's, I think, one of the biggest thing that we have to be, when either it's a creator, it's a creative, either as a client, as a content creators, good human being, simple thing. Are you doing it right? If I have that filter, I think everything can be taken care.
All right.
One filter.
Quick roundup.
I think both parts of what you mentioned are very critical in today's time, especially with the new Gen Z consumer that we are speaking to. Having a purpose for your brand is something that's become so important, and that's something we as a brand have also taken up. But at the same time, for me, there is a certain code of values or ethics that we have to follow, and we know. There are, of course, regulations, and there are regulatory bodies, internal, external. We have, every ad of ours goes through, I assure you, multiple levels of regulatory approvals before we send out any claim. So all of that is in place, but there is also that code of ethics and values that every organization should uphold, I feel, before we...
Shruti? Shreya, sorry. Shruti, Shreya.
So very similar to actually what they said. We are reaching out to 50 million people on a weekly basis. And that's a lot of pressure, because you're influencing them with every content piece you're putting out. So there are two types of things you need to be taking care of. A, you're not making any claims that could go off. And secondly, you're not propagating any mindset that could be harmful as well. So even when we are working with brands, you'll see that there's a lot of progressive content that we are working with, which is not being done in a forced way. So that's also something that we take care of.
Thank you, everyone. Lovely panel here. You heard it from the best. You know, I think the heartening part is that while there are multiple creators, it's very much possible to work as a team. And you know, one of the founders at BBH once said that all of us are bigger than each of us. So imagine the power if that people could come together, yeah? So calling creators. Thank you.